Alright, Sebring turn 1. I've been using this point here as my braking area. You can see the shadow of where the bridge goes overhead and also where the paint kicks over. I've been using that as my brake point. You can go a little beyond that, but this applies for the whole lap. This car seems to work best, for me at least, by really focusing on slow in, fast out. So I've been pulling my brake points back a little bit versus trying to push them, because a tenth saved in the braking zone could mean 2 or 3 or more tenths lost in the rest of the corner. So I'm just about to start turning in. We're not quite to the end of the pit road here, or this wall, and I actually started turning in a little too early, I think, because I had to modulate the gas to keep the nose out in this next bit. So you can go pretty darn late before turning in here as long as your speed's good. So I'm hitting the gas just to keep from tapping this wall, because generally if you tap a wall that means your lap's not going very well. So as soon as I'm sure I'm not going to clip the wall here, I'll be letting off to help the car rotate, and a little ways after this cone here is what I'm kind of treating as an apex, and a little ways after that is when I start getting on the gas and tracking out. So you want to use the entire track here and use this rumble strip, but watch out for this stuff right in here, because that can throw your car around pretty good. It's more of a problem for the Nissans because they can really get thrown through here, but the Audis, I've had some wild rides from taking this too wide. Now I've been braking before the 3 marker here, kind of in the middle of this path, and the next 2 corners we're trying to compromise. So keep that in mind with more of a late apex here and staying a little bit further to the left on track out. Now for this corner we want to stay as far to the right as we can so we can get a better exit out of this next bit. So try to stay all the way to the right of the track here. Now it's a very late apex, but at least it's a clear apex to see. You can see where the radius will change here. It's a fairly flat curb and it's a consistent radius until right here. You can see the curb suddenly gets taller and there's a very clear point. That is what we're using as an apex. Because this curb gets so tall, you don't want to clip it because you won't be able to put the power down. The car will get unstable. But that is your apex point. I've been using the end of this wall right here as my brake point. Every time I try to push it a little further, it seems like I can't pull the nose of the car around and get a good apex out here. So I've been erring a little bit on the side of caution and using the end of this wall as my brake point. Now we're all the way to first and we're well into this concrete area before we really start to turn in. And we'll clip the dirt a little bit, but keep in mind there's not much grip here, and there's a lot more grip over here, so don't clip it too much. Also, this can mean a 1x if you go too far. You can kind of see a divot right in here. It's right across from where this rumble strip is from this access road. That's what I've been using as a brake point. It's a little before this 4 cone. I don't want to go that far because it seems like I wash out and I can't get a good exit from the next corner. So use those points as a better reference than the cones. Now we're just starting to do our turn in right where this curb starts. And we want to take a pretty late apex again here to try and stay further to the right. Some other cars and some other styles you might be able to swing further out here, but I've had the most success with a late apex and staying to the right. Not getting on the gas until we're almost at the end of this curb. Now I was modulating my throttle there. I'll be doing so as soon as I shift here too. I'm trying to keep the nose of the car coming around. I don't want to swing out too wide in this section. That's why we compromised before and we stayed to the right, is to give us a better exit here. Now this corner can be a pretty tricky one. You'll hear my car bouncing off the rev limiter, and that's because I don't want to make this a taller gear. I don't want to carry more speed through here. This is a corner that's very easy to carry too much speed. So I'll be clipping very close to this curb right here, and I'll be braking right after that. I won't wait until this 3-cone. I'll be trail braking as soon as this starts. I'll try to straighten it out as best I can, but you need to do a decent amount of trail braking to get the car slowed down enough for the next corner. Now a very late turn in here, but I actually turned in a little too late and I had too much speed. I will miss the apex, but it looks like it's a pretty wide corner, but this exit gets awfully narrow when you're at speed. Now through here, I've been trying to stay to the left. We want to compromise a little bit to get a better exit in this next complex, but every time I try to swing to the right and then tuck in to get a good entry to that bit, it seems like I lose even more speed than just staying to the left the whole time. So you can clip this corner a little bit, and this curb you can clip a lot. But keep in mind, if you have Nissans close by, they are not lifting, they're not compromising, they can just fly through here. So be aware of the significant speed differential. Now for this section, we're not going to track out too far. It's very easy to take this corner too wide and you'll get stuck on this curb over here, or you'll hop the curb, and that's a problem. But we don't want to compromise it too much. You can stay pretty far to the left here. And I'm just about at the rev limiter. I'll actually bounce off it in just a moment. But this is another corner where I don't want to carry too much speed because we want to really set ourselves up well for the following straight. So yes, the track line is here and we are entirely to the left of that. That's okay. Your car can go pretty far to the left here without any penalties. So make use of this space. Now we're having a very late apex on this curb right here. I just touched it there and I'm only, about 2 car lengths from the end of it. So you want to do as delayed of an apex as you can here because this is a very long straight and you want to carry as much speed as possible up to that. And the best way to do that is a late apex and maximizing the use of the exit curb. Don't go too far over because your car can get thrown around pretty good by this stuff. And also get off the curb before it ends or you'll get another 1x. Now I've been braking in between these, the 4 cones and the 3 cones right about here, and that's because I want to slow the car down and stay to the right in this section. You may have some success in taking a wider line through the first part of this corner and then cutting in, but I have not been able to have success with that in this car. It seems to work better by just staying tighter to the right. Now keep in mind the Nissans don't brake until way down here, so if you have one nearby, make your intentions clear and keep an eye out because this could be a trouble spot. It gets very narrow very quickly. So we're staying fairly far to the right as we approach this bridge, and the bridge is a good point to use for your point to start getting back on the gas. Definitely by the time you see the grass, you should be starting to get back on the gas. You can see this cone here, we want to stay fairly far to the right and get somewhat close to that, but you don't need to get in there and clip it or anything. Just try to stay within a couple feet of the right side of the track here. Because as we're getting on the gas, this car will drift out to the left. So by getting closer to that cone, that gives you more space to go to the left and you won't have to lift off the gas.